I'm an attorney, and we hate hypotheticals because, things can change and factors change all the time. So what I came to mind when I heard Senator Senjum speaking, this is not the only obstruction to our state highways and road system. People take their lives sometimes in some of our roadways, and you have to deal with that. So I'm thinking, if we had incidents that kept happening in the same bridge, in the same roadway, we wouldn't be trying to find out how to enforce the law and be more, to use Senator Senjum's word, harsh discipline. We would be talking about why are people doing that? Why there and why to begin with? And that's, again, what I think we should be thinking about. Why are people protesting? Why are they taking to the streets literally? And that's been absent in the hour and a half that we've been in testimony today. Why are people taking those personal sacrifices and consequences? Because they are. There were over, that you mentioned 224 citations. I remember seeing them on TV overnight, and they were done peacefully. And for the most part, these protests were peaceful protests. And they lined up and waited to be processed. And we saw that in the news. So the people who are rioters and who are instigators and arsonists, we haven't been talking about that in this hearing. We're talking about those peaceful protests that they took to the streets because they wanted their actions to be heard by Minnesotans. And I don't disagree, that's not the best place for civil unrest and protests. But let's talk about why they chose to do that in the first place. And I commend all the public servants and all the troopers and all the police and everyone who handled this, because there were 0 deaths that we know of that were reported, and no one got seriously injured. That's commendable. We were lucky, and again, it's a miracle that that happened. But let's talk about, why are people taking to the streets? Why are they fine with putting their lives at risk and having a public record that's going to ruin their careers potentially for the rest of their lives, because that will be on their records? Because they need to be heard, and we need to listen. So we're talking about enhancing penalties and locking people up. Well, we're going to need a lot of resources, because I believe your budget, Colonel, is $9 million a year, if I'm not mistaken. We're going to need more troopers. We're going to need more places to put people who are protesting, if you want to lock them up for 6 months, like Senator Senjum suggested. I know that was a hypothetical, but and what are the consequences to that? Are we going to fix the core issue? So members, I appreciate that we're having this inquisition over the last several days, trying to figure out how to prepare for the next incident. But let's talk about, how do we avoid it? How do we avoid another killing of a Black man that actually happened on a public street by a public servant? How do we avoid that? Then we don't have to plan for more resources, and we don't have to plan for more hardening of our streets. We need to bring public trust. But if we're not talking about the elephant in the room, that's never going to happen, members.